Welcome to the Retirement Wealth Podcast. We're so glad you're joining us today.
That's right, Emily. Today we're diving into a topic that's super important for anyone planning for retirement: how Social Security benefits are calculated in the U.S.
Yeah, it's such a crucial aspect, right? I mean, understanding how those benefits work can really impact your retirement planning.
Absolutely. And, many folks have questions about how their work history, earnings, and even age factor into what they'll receive.
Exactly. We'll break down the key components of Social Security benefits, touch on some common misconceptions, and even share tips on how to maximize those benefits.
Plus, we'll discuss how your benefits can fit into your overall retirement strategy and what you can do if you're feeling overwhelmed by it all.
Sounds like a lot of great information. And I think it's important to remember that planning for retirement doesn't have to be stressful.
Right. With a little understanding and the right approach, you can really set yourself up for a comfortable retirement.
So let's get started. David, could you kick us off by explaining how Social Security calculates those benefits? What's the formula behind it?
Sure thing, Emily. It all starts with your lifetime earnings, and the Social Security Administration uses your 35 highest earning years to determine your benefit amount. Emily, one of the big reasons why understanding how Social Security benefits are calculated is so crucial right now is, the landscape of retirement is changing so rapidly.
Absolutely, David. I mean, with inflation being a constant worry, retirees need to know how their Social Security benefits can help buffer against rising costs.
Right, and it's not just inflation. The market volatility we've seen lately can really shake up retirement plans. People are looking for stability, and Social Security can provide that base income that's so important.
Exactly. I had a listener reach out recently, a guy named Tom, who's planning to retire in the next couple of years. He was worried about the stock market dips affecting his savings. When I mentioned Social Security, he seemed relieved, like it was a safety net he hadn't fully considered before.
That's a great point. Many people don't realize just how much Social Security can factor into their overall retirement strategy. It's like, you might have this big nest egg, but if you're not factoring in the potential Social Security benefits, you might be missing out on a significant part of your financial picture.
Yeah, and let's not forget about the tax implications. Social Security benefits can be taxed, depending on your overall income. So it's really important to think about how your withdrawals from other retirement accounts will interact with that.
Exactly. It's all about tax efficiency. For instance, if someone waits a year or two to start Social Security, they might find themselves in a lower tax bracket, which could really save money in the long run.
And then there's healthcare costs. Those can take a pretty big bite out of a retirement budget. Social Security benefits can help cover some of those expenses, but you really need to plan ahead.
Right. I've seen it time and again. People underestimate their healthcare needs in retirement. One couple I worked with, they thought they'd be fine with their savings, but they didn't account for the rising cost of insurance and out-of-pocket expenses.
That's so common. And when those unexpected healthcare costs come up, it can be really stressful. It's like you plan for a nice retirement and then bam, you're hit with bills that you didn't see coming.
And that's why having a solid understanding of what Social Security can provide is so important. It's not just about the monthly check. It's about peace of mind. You want to know that you've got that steady stream coming in, no matter what happens.
Exactly. And with all these changes happening, like adjustments in benefits and potential legislative changes, it's a moving target. It's essential to stay informed.
Yes, and honestly, the emotional aspect cannot be overstated. Knowing that you have a reliable source of income can really ease the anxiety that comes with retirement.
I couldn't agree more. A friend of mine, Sarah, she just retired last year. At first, she was so worried about her finances, but once she got a handle on how her Social Security benefits fit into her overall plan, she felt a massive weight lift off her shoulders.
It's amazing how that clarity can impact your overall enjoyment of retirement. It allows you to focus on the things you love, traveling, spending time with family, rather than constantly worrying about money.
Right, and for many, retirement is about legacy too. It's not just about living comfortably for yourself. It's about what you leave behind for your loved ones. Understanding Social Security can play a role in that legacy planning as well.
Absolutely. It's all interconnected. If you plan effectively, you can ensure that not only are you covered, but you're also setting things up to benefit your family in the future.
And with the current economic trends, it's more important than ever to rethink our strategies. The way we approach retirement planning now, compared to a decade ago, is so different.
Yes, and with the uncertainty we've seen in recent years, whether it's the pandemic, inflation spikes, or geopolitical tensions, having a reliable source of income like Social Security can offer a much-needed buffer.
Totally. I think about those who are nearing retirement age. They've been through so much already. The last thing they need is to add financial stress on top of everything else.
Exactly. And, for many, just having that assurance, that consistent income source can empower them to make more confident decisions about their savings and investments.
It's like setting the foundation before building the house, right? If you've got that solid ground, you can build up from there without fear of it all crumbling.
Well said. And as we transition into discussing some core strategies, it's important to remember that planning for Social Security isn't just about the numbers. It's about crafting a holistic approach to your retirement that encompasses all these aspects: financial security, emotional well-being, and legacy planning.
Let's dive into those strategies.
So Emily, let's dive into some core strategies and rules of thumb that can really help our listeners optimize their Social Security benefits.
Absolutely, David. I think one of the first things people should understand is that Social Security isn't just a one-size-fits-all thing, right?
Exactly. It's based on your earnings history and the age at which you start claiming it. The longer you wait, the larger your monthly benefit can be, up to age 70.
Right. I've heard that every year you delay claiming, you can increase your benefits by about 8%. So if someone's in good health and can afford to wait, that can be a huge difference.
It really can. For example, if your full retirement age is 67 and you decide to start collecting at 62, you might get about 30% less each month compared to waiting until 67.
Wow! So if someone's monthly benefit at full retirement age is, say, $2,000, they'd only get about $1,400 if they claim early at 62?
Exactly. And if they wait until 70, that could boost their benefit to about $2, $480 a month. That's a significant increase, and it's something to consider in your overall retirement strategy.
So should people be looking at their overall asset allocation when deciding when to claim?
Definitely. It's important to have a comprehensive view of your finances. For instance, if you have a solid portfolio of stocks and bonds, you might be comfortable waiting to claim Social Security.
Right, because you can draw from those investments in the meantime. What's a good balance in a portfolio for someone approaching retirement?
A common rule of thumb is the 70/30ths rule, where you might allocate 70% of your portfolio in stocks and 30% in bonds. But this really depends on your risk tolerance and when you plan to start withdrawing.
And speaking of withdrawals, I know the 4% rule is something a lot of folks look at for retirement planning. Can you break that down a bit?
Sure. The 4% rule suggests that you can withdraw 4% of your retirement savings each year without running out of money for about 30 years. So, if you have $1 million portfolio, you could theoretically withdraw $40,000 a year, adjusted for inflation, of course.
That sounds solid, but are there any caveats?
Well, it's a guideline, not a guarantee. Market conditions can change, and if you withdraw more than 4%, especially in a down market, you could deplete your savings faster than expected.
So it sounds like having a flexible withdrawal strategy could be important too, right?
Absolutely. This is where the bucket strategy comes into play. You divide your retirement savings into buckets for different time frames.
Oh, like having one bucket for short-term needs and another for long-term growth?
Exactly. You might keep a bucket of cash or short-term bonds for the first few years of retirement, and then have a longer-term bucket invested in stocks for growth.
That way, you're not forced to sell your investments at a loss if the market dips, right?
Exactly. And as for asset allocation, many people adjust their mix as they age. You might start with a more aggressive stance and gradually shift to a more conservative approach as you get closer to needing those funds.
And what about tax-advantaged accounts like 401ks and IRAs? How do those fit into the picture?
Great question. Utilizing tax-advantaged accounts is key. For instance, with the traditional 401k or IRA, you're deferring taxes until withdrawal, which can be beneficial if you expect to be in a lower tax bracket in retirement.
But then there are Roth accounts.
Right. With Roth IRAs, you pay taxes up front, but your withdrawals in retirement are tax-free. This can be particularly advantageous if you anticipate higher taxes in the future.
It's like having some flexibility with tax strategies.
Exactly. You can also use tax loss harvesting strategies to offset gains in your taxable account.
So if one investment loses value, you can sell it and use that loss to reduce your taxable income?
Exactly. And when it comes to real estate, that can also be a part of your retirement strategy. If you own property, it can provide rental income, which is a nice supplement to Social Security.
And there's also the potential for property appreciation over time.
Right. But remember, being a landlord comes with its challenges, so it's important to weigh those risks.
And what about annuities? I know some people consider them for guaranteed income in retirement.
Yes, annuities can provide a steady income stream, but they can also come with high fees and less liquidity. It's important to understand the terms before committing to one.
So it seems like the key takeaway here is to have a diversified approach, considering all these elements together.
Absolutely. And don't forget to review your strategies regularly. Life changes, and your financial plan should adapt too.
That makes a lot of sense. And I suppose understanding these strategies can help avoid some common pitfalls, right?
Exactly. Let's talk about those common pitfalls next. You know, Emily, when we talk about Social Security benefits, it's easy to focus just on the numbers, right? But there's so much more to it. One of the big pitfalls I see is people claiming their benefits too early.
Yeah, I've heard that can really impact your long-term financial picture. Can you share why that's a mistake?
Absolutely. So let's say someone claims at 62, which is the earliest age you can start receiving benefits. They might think they're getting a good deal, but what they don't realize is that it can reduce their monthly benefits significantly, sometimes by up to 30% compared to what they'd receive if they waited until full retirement age.
Wow, that's a big difference. I imagine that can add up over the years.
Exactly. I had a client, let's call him John. He was really eager to retire and thought claiming early was the best choice. But when we ran the numbers, we found that by waiting just a few years, he could secure a much higher monthly payment for the rest of his life.
Did he end up waiting?
He did. He was nervous at first, but after we discussed the long-term benefits, he realized it was worth it. It's all about understanding the implications of that early claim.
That makes so much sense. What about other common mistakes? Are there other pitfalls people fall into?
Definitely. Another major issue is what I call the sequence of returns risk. This can really throw a wrench in retirement plans.
Sequence of returns risk? That sounds complicated.
It can be. Basically, it refers to the order in which investment returns occur. If someone retires and starts pulling from their investments during a market downturn, it can deplete their savings much faster than if they had retired during a bull market.
Oh, I see. So timing really matters when you start withdrawing funds?
Exactly. I had a couple, let's call them Sarah and Tom. They retired in 2008, right at the height of the financial crisis. They were taking withdrawals from their investment accounts, and because the market was down, it really hurt their portfolio's growth.
What happened to them?
Well, they had to adjust their lifestyle significantly. They had planned for a certain amount of income, but with the market downturn, they ended up having to cut back on travel and other activities they were looking forward to.
That sounds tough. So how can people protect themselves from that?
A good strategy is to have a diversified portfolio and ensure you have enough cash reserves or fixed income assets to cover several years of expenses. This way, you're not forced to sell investments during a downturn.
That's really helpful. I imagine taxes also come into play when withdrawing funds in retirement, right?
Absolutely. Many retirees overlook the tax implications of their withdrawals. You know, they might think, I'll just take money from my accounts as I need it, but that can lead to some hefty tax bills if they're not careful.
Can you give an example of that?
Sure. Let's say someone has a mix of tax-deferred accounts, like IRAs and taxable accounts. If they withdraw too much from the tax-deferred accounts early on, it could push them into a higher tax bracket.
Yikes. That sounds like a recipe for unexpected expenses.
For sure. I had a client, let's call her Linda, who faced this very issue. She didn't think about how her IRA withdrawals would be taxed, and by the end of the year, she was shocked to see how much she owed in taxes.
So what's the best way to approach this?
A solid plan is to work with a financial advisor to create a tax-efficient withdrawal strategy, like considering which accounts to draw from first, based on your income needs and tax situation.
That makes sense. What about healthcare costs? I hear that's a huge concern for many retirees.
It really is. Many people underestimate their healthcare expenses in retirement. They think Medicare will cover everything, but that's not always the case.
Right, and I imagine healthcare costs can add up quickly.
Exactly. I had a client, let's call him Mike, who thought he'd be fine with just Medicare. But when he had an unexpected health issue, he realized the out-of-pocket expenses were far more than he anticipated.
That must have been difficult for him.
It really was. To avoid that, I always recommend that people factor in healthcare costs when they're planning. It can be wise to set aside a specific amount for medical expenses, or even look into supplemental insurance.
That's such valuable advice. What about asset allocation? Is that also a common pitfall?
Yes, it is. A lot of retirees stick to the same asset allocation they had while they were working, which can be a mistake. As you age, your risk tolerance changes, and so should your investment strategy.
So what should people consider when adjusting their asset allocation?
Well, typically, as you get closer to retirement, you might want to shift more towards conservative investments to protect your savings. But it's also essential to keep a portion in growth assets to outpace inflation.
Sounds like a balancing act.
It really is. I once worked with a couple, let's call them Barbara and Rick. They were still heavily invested in stocks, thinking it would help them grow their nest egg. But given their age and plans for retirement, I had to help them reevaluate their strategy.
Did they see the benefits of adjusting their allocation?
Yes. Once they made the adjustment, they felt much more secure about their financial future. It's all about finding that right balance for your needs and comfort level.
So for anyone listening, how can they spot these red flags early on in their planning?
Great question. I'd say, first, be proactive about your planning. Look at your withdrawal strategy, your healthcare costs, and your asset allocation regularly. Don't wait until you're in retirement to review these aspects.
And working with a financial advisor can really help, right?
Absolutely. A good advisor will not only help you create a plan, but also keep you accountable and make adjustments as needed over time.
That's so reassuring to hear. It sounds like being informed and having a flexible plan is key to a successful retirement.
Exactly. Remember, retirement planning isn't a one-time event. It's an ongoing process.
Well, I think that sets a solid foundation for our listeners. Shall we move on to the next steps for them?
Yes. Let's dive into how they can implement these strategies effectively. All right, Emily, let's dive into some immediate steps our listeners can take to really get a handle on their Social Security benefits and overall retirement planning.
Absolutely, David. I think one of the first things everyone should consider is checking their Social Security statement. You can do this through ssa.gov. It's super straightforward and gives you a detailed look at your earnings history.
Right, and that's essential because those earnings directly impact your benefits, correct? Plus, you can also estimate your future benefits right there on the site.
Exactly. And I always recommend that people review this annually, just to stay on top of things. You know, life changes, and your earnings can fluctuate.
For sure. And while they're at it, it's a great time to start using some retirement calculators. Vanguard, Fidelity, Schwab, they all have really user-friendly tools. Just plug in some numbers, and you can start to get a clearer picture of your retirement readiness.
Yes, and those calculators often allow you to adjust things like retirement age or investment growth assumptions, which is super helpful. It's like a mini financial planning session right at your fingertips.
And speaking of planning, if anyone hasn't yet, they should really consider investing in some financial planning software. There are several options out there that can help you run projections, track your investments, and even manage your spending.
That's a great point. Taking control of your financial future can be empowering. And I think starting small is key. Maybe just set aside an hour a week to review your portfolio or run those retirement projections.
Absolutely, Emily. Just a small commitment of time can lead to big improvements over the long haul. And don't forget about keeping an eye on your tax situation as well. Using tax software can help you understand how your Social Security benefits will be taxed and how to optimize your withdrawals.
Right. And that's something that often gets overlooked. It's not just about the benefits you receive, but how they fit into your overall tax picture.
Speaking of oversight, I find that many folks haven't updated their beneficiary designations in a while. It's worth a quick check to ensure everything aligns with your current wishes.
Definitely. And while we're on the topic of checks, reviewing your investment allocation at least quarterly can really make a difference. It helps ensure that your portfolio remains aligned with your retirement goals.
Yes, and if you notice any significant shifts, that's an opportunity to rebalance. It's amazing how just a few small adjustments can keep you on track.
And for those who want to dive deeper, I'd recommend checking out some books or podcasts on retirement planning. There are some fantastic resources out there, like The Simple Path to Wealth by J.L. Collins or Retire Inspired by Chris Hogan.
Great suggestions. And there are also several podcasts that focus on retirement topics. They can provide fresh insights and motivate you to take action. It's like having a financial coach in your ear.
Exactly. And I think it's also important to cultivate a mindset of continuous learning. Like, you're never too old or too far along in your journey to improve your plan or learn something new.
Well said, Emily. Just because you're nearing retirement doesn't mean you should stop planning or adjusting. It's an ongoing process, and every little step counts.
Right. And even if you feel like you're behind, there's always room to make improvements. Taking action today can lead to a more secure tomorrow.
And that's the beauty of it. Whether it's a quick check-in on your Social Security statement or a more thorough review of your overall financial plan, taking those first steps is crucial.
So those are some practical first steps. Now, let's bring this all together.
Well, Emily, as we wrap up, it's clear that understanding how Social Security benefits are calculated is crucial for anyone planning their retirement.
Absolutely, David. So let's recap a few key points for our listeners. First, it's important to remember that your benefits are based on your highest earning 35 years. If you didn't work for that long, zeros will factor in.
Right, and then there's also the full retirement age, which varies depending on when you were born. It can significantly affect how much you receive.
Yeah, and delaying benefits, even just a few years, can really boost your monthly payments. So if you can afford to wait, it might be worth considering.
And don't forget about the potential for cost of living adjustments, too. They help your benefits keep pace with inflation, which is vital for maintaining purchasing power over time.
Exactly. It's all about making informed decisions that align with your retirement goals. Building that wealth is a journey.
For sure. And it's about protecting what you've built, too. A solid strategy can really enhance your financial security in retirement.
So if you found this episode helpful, please take a moment to like, subscribe, and, comment below with your biggest takeaway or any questions you might have.
And if you know someone who's planning for retirement or already in it, share this episode with them. It could really make a difference.
Next time, we'll dive into something exciting. What FIRE means and how you can retire early.
Yeah. It's a hot topic right now, and we're looking forward to exploring it with you.
Thanks for joining us today, everyone.
Take care, and remember, your retirement journey is about building and protecting what matters most to you.
See you next time.